Hey guys, some stupid sketch show guy here with another episode of my opinion on every figure, and today's episode is going to be a remake of the very first episode. Except we're not just going to be covering CollectA Deluxe. No, in today's episode we're going to be covering every single dinosaur figure ever made by CollectA, Standard and Deluxe. Yeah, if you couldn't tell already, this is going to be a lot longer than the original video I made on this topic 3 years ago. And to think that I've been making this series for over 3 years now and thousands of people still tune in every episode, that's crazy to me, and you guys are awesome. So without further ado, let's do it. Here's my opinion on every single CollectA Prehistoric Life figure. You gotta admire just how much CollectA's improved over the years, because this is only one step above a Chinosaur. Yeah, you're gonna notice a bit of a pattern here with some of the early CollectA figures. It's pretty ugly, but it kinda has a charm to it. It looks like something out of Wallace and Gromit.
No cheese.
A perfectly average Triceratops. A slightly below average Stegosaurus. I'll take the Carnegie Pteranodon over this Pteranodon any day. This just looks wrong. It looks like a spiky avocado. So, not bad, but not good either. The paint job isn't terrible, but the sculpt definitely is. It's nice to see that Neovenator got a figure finally, but it could have been way better. It is proportioned a bit weirdly, and the Carnegie Baryonyx is arguably better, but it's not a bad figure. Camptodon summarized my thoughts on this figure pretty well.
Well, I smashed it on the ground.
Ew, what a gross creature. It's an alright plesiosaur, but not great. This is just terrible. It's different, but I don't know if that's better. This figure looks like it doesn't want to live. Kill me. Painfully average. It's not very good. It's uglier than the first T-Rex and has none of the charm. This figure looks so depressed. I kinda like it. I don't like this figure. I mean, it's kinda cute, but that's about it. This looks like it belongs in Land Before Time, but not like the original movie, one of the sequels. A bit simple, but I kinda like it. That's one ugly horse. That's one ugly bird. It's kinda cool, no pun intended. It's a solid enough Stegosaurid. It's just another ugly bird. This is going to be the first CollectA figure in this video that I really like, and it won't be the last. It's a mediocre figure, but it did sort of predict the color scheme of Scowler from Walking with Dinosaurs 3D. I like the tail, but that head looks really goofy. Not a big fan of the mouth being shut, but I do really like the paint scheme. It's just okay. I like that they chose a lesser known sauropod, but they could have done a lot better. Well, this is just bad. Bad. Okay. Well, ain't he just dopey looking? It's just a worse version of the Papospinosaurus, and that's already a figure I don't really like, so... This isn't very good either. Man, CollectA has a pretty bad track record with Spinosaurus. It's just alright. A perfectly simplistic sauropod, but nothing special. There's a reason why I gave this figure to the Dinosaur Discovery. I actually don't really mind this figure. Not very good. Gigantoraptor really deserves better than just this mediocre figure. It's a decent looking sauropod, I guess. I don't like this thing. Megalosaurus deserves way better than this. It's just okay. A little better, but still just okay. This figure is so blocky and cursed, I kinda like it in an ironic way. It's a crocodile, nothing special. It's just okay. Man, Tarbosaurus deserves better than this. Pretty cute. It's like a fusion of the Safari Limited and Schleichtatosaurus's. CollectA seems to be figuring it out with their Ceratopsians. It's alright, not bad, it's decent. Ooh boy, that's a step in the wrong direction. There aren't too many ways to do a woolly mammoth figure, and this is definitely far from the best. It's cute, but the Safari Baby Mammoth is better. Again, Safari Limited did do this species better, but it's still a goofy and charming figure. Ain't too shabby. A surprising guilty pleasure of mine. I like how the big spikes on this figure look like crystals. It's pretty cool. Pretty nice. Like the throat. Not bad, but a bit overrated. If this is the huge version, then all I gotta say is, that's what she said. I really like the feathering on this figure, but the face is a bit ugly. Look at that goofy grin on his cute little face. It's alright. This guy looks like he's tripping balls and doesn't know what's going on. I don't mind it. I like pee-pee. It's ugly, but kinda charming. The yellow armor they put on this figure is honestly really good. I don't mind this figure, but I definitely prefer the Min-Me. Well, ain't that just boring? I bought this figure over 4 years ago when I started this YouTube channel, and I still have forgotten to get rid of it. I don't really like this figure, but Vitar Productions definitely took a pretty cool picture of it. Ew, get this T-posing dinosaur away from me. I don't like the pose, but the sculpt and paint job is actually pretty good. It's sculpted and painted alright, but I'm not a big fan of rearing sauropods. I still don't like this figure, but I don't hate it as much as I used to. But, for old time's sake... Not good. I bought a bootleg version of this figure, and it was listed as a Tyrannus, and I'm still pissed that I was dumb enough to buy it anyway. As the years go by, the more I like this figure. It's just okay. Not bad at all. Just another mediocre theropod figure glued to an annoying base. It's a nice simple figure. The latter half of this figure looks like it has hives or something. Besides that, it's just kind of okay. It's tiny and it can't really balance itself properly, but I still really like this figure. Pretty cool. It's just alright. It's a pretty cool figure, but I don't understand why they made it so tiny. It's just alright. A spectacular Ceratopsian figure, definitely the best one we've seen so far. It's an alright figure, but I'll take the Carnegie version over this. It's alright, but I do regret buying it. The red eyes and the jagged teeth both look absolutely ugly, but also weirdly cool at the same time. It's such a weird mixture of emotions. A pretty cool Cenozoic figure. I'm still not a huge fan of rearing dinosaurs, but I like this one more than usual. Oh wow, another ugly T-Rex. It's a simple and well-painted sea creature. It's not as good as some of the later Ceratopsians you're gonna see, but it's still pretty good. Yeah, here's Exhibit A. This Utah Ceratops looks great. I love the tan color scheme. It's an alright looking Stegosaurid. This mini set looks like it was released 20 years too late. Well, ain't that just gross? I like it. CollectA is definitely getting better with their Therizinosaurids. It's an alright little diorama, but it's just not my thing. This is what would happen if you gave a pickle sentience, arms, legs, and teeth, and then burned its face to a crisp. Oh, and then dabbed its head with hot sauce. Yeah, it's a very weird figure, but I still love it. It's well sculpted and painted, but it's just too small for what is supposed to be an Argentinosaurus. An absolutely spectacular theropod. It's far from great, but it's a huge improvement over their other T-Rexes. Yeah, they still need some help though on their Stegosauruses. A substantial improvement for Neovenator. Finally a figure it deserves. I was born in the wrong generation. I wish I was a caveman. It's alright. Definitely one of the worst Amargasaurus models out there. Even with newer versions of this figure being made by CollectA, this one still holds up pretty well. The color scheme is surprisingly unique for a rhinoceros figure, and I really like that. It looks sick. I saw this thing in person one time, and oh my god, it was huge. Not my thing, though. This is more my size, and also the paint application on here is slightly better. There are many better Diabloceratops figures out there than this one, but it's not bad. It's alright, a unique take on an old sauropod. I like the paint job, but I really wish they made a standing version. A tiny figure that honestly looks quite a bit worse in person. Yet another spectacular Cenozoic sculpt. I like the parrot thing that's going on here. The paint job is definitely an improvement, but the sculpt still sucks. I like the Triceratops corpse a bit more, but it's still pretty cool. I really wish you could take the fish out of its mouth. Other than that, it's an alright Spinosaurus figure. Now this is more like it. You can actually take the prey out of its mouth. Also, the sculpt is great. It's a spectacular little Ceratopsian. It's far from perfect, but it's definitely the best Tyrannosaurid figure we've gotten so far. Definitely one of the best Mosasaur figures on the market. Again, it's not one of the best theropod figures out there, but it didn't stop Atar Productions from making a sick picture with it. It's a cool figure. Now that's a cutie. Now that's awesome. It's fabulous! It's not as good as the previous Cenozoic figures I've mentioned, but it's still good. Ooh, now that's a good Ceratopsian. A pretty cool sauropod figure, and of a lesser-known species as a plus. It's not as good as the other Ceratopsians I've previously talked about, but it's still pretty good. It's a nice little theropod. That poor soul, giving birth forever. That would suck. It's just alright. It's just alright. I love my toothy pickles, especially when they look like this. It's a more unique interpretation of Smilodon than their previous go, and a slight improvement. I mean, it's too big for me to want to buy it, but wow, it's very well done. Even though it hasn't aged the best, I still think it's a cool figure and wish they didn't retire it. A huge improvement over the Carcharodontosaurus in every way. This is my pick. Probably the best Entelodont figure out there, regardless of species. Yay, prehistoric horsey! It's very outdated and certainly a product of its time, but I can't help but like it. It's a nice, cool, medium-sized figure, and pun very much intended. It's alright, but I'll be honest, I find it a little overrated. And now it's dead. Was I being too harsh when I said it was a little overrated? Wow, I must be cruel. It's a cool corpse, though. I'm starting to sound like a broken record when talking about these awesome Ceratopsian figures, but I can't help myself, they all look great. It is definitely my favorite of the feathered Tyrannosaurs CollectA has done. Pretty good. I mean, at least it's not giving birth forever like the Temnodontosaurus, but I don't know if this is much better. After watching Prehistoric Planet, I have a newfound love for this figure. For being the only mainstream Baishan figure on the market, it definitely does a great job of representing this species. A pretty cool plesiosaur. An absolutely awesome Torvosaurus figure. Better than even the PNSO Torvosaurus, which I did forget to mention in the last episode. Definitely up there as one of the best Cenozoic figures ever made. CollectA doesn't have many good Stegosaurs, but this is definitely one of the exceptions. I wish it was a little bigger, but it's a pretty cool representation of Ionosaurus. A simple but cool ichthyosaur. Now that is regal indeed. Although I wish it was a little bit larger, it's definitely long enough to be a Basilosaurus. Great Christmas present 4 years ago this year. Holy crap, I'm old. It's the biggest and arguably the greatest of the Ceratopsian figures made by CollectA. A truly beautiful specimen. PP good. It's colored like a chocolate chip cookie, and honestly it's big enough to probably fit one up that mouth. What an absolutely fantastic beast. It's very well painted, but I wish it didn't have a drinking problem. For something so tiny and cute, it's definitely very well sculpted and painted. It's very well painted and sculpted, but I wish it was bigger. Fook yeah, it's Fukui Raptor. Any figure of Fukui Raptor is automatically fucking awesome. Hands down the greatest Iguanodon figure of all time. This is definitely a contender for one of the top 5 best Paleozoic figures of all time. And yet it still pales in comparison to this fish. Camosaurus has great taste in channel mascots. What a great figure. Oh my golly, that is amazing. Even with decades of Dimetrodon figures before it, this is definitely one of the best. This is how I like my prehistoric elephants. A great replacement to the original feathered T-Rex. I do prefer the PNSO Borealopelta, but this is still pretty good. With so many good Dimetrodon figures, it's about time we got a good one for a Dilophosaurus. Holy cow, like the entire figure is painted very well, especially the throat, but like, that crest is the sexiest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it looks like the Eye of Sauron. A very schmeckshe Carnotaurus. A very schmeckshe Baryonyx. This might be the best Cenozoic figure bar none. It's definitely up there. For such a small figure, it has an absolutely fucking amazing paint job. There was no need for this to exist. It's a cool figure, but I don't know why they made it so huge. Ooh, now that is a cool bird. It's on par in quality with the Ceratosaurus, except it stands on its own 2 feet. Literally. This Bizzotosaurus is so good that I forgive CollectA for their bad Amargasaurus figure. What a beautifully painted flying monster. A nice little Allosaurus, but I've seen better. Even after the amazing CollectA Deluxe Mapusaurus, this one still stands on its own 2 feet. Again, literally. Finally, the 2 great Ps are getting represented, Paleozoic and Poland. I definitely prefer the original over this. Pretty cool model, but just don't let it touch me. Pretty nice squid. It's alright. I love how detailed the eyes are. They're so creepy yet so cool. It's just alright. It's just alright. I mean, it's a cool shark, but that's about it. Oh mama, that's a great figure, and it's properly sized too. Finally, a half-decent up-to-date Megalosaurus figure. CollectA seems to have a thing with Japanese ornithopods and making them great figures. Well, ain't that just gross, and a little cool. It's an alright pterosaur, but I prefer the other ones. The paint job is definitely the best of the 3 Neovenators, but I'm not sure about the sculpt. A pretty good figure with a great paint job. Oh, and did I forget to mention, HIS NAME's BOY! I like fish. I really like the paint job on this figure, and also I dislike giant armadillos. This is definitely CollectA's best plesiosaur by far. It has a pretty cool shell, but that's about it. The Guai Draco definitely did this paint job better. A pretty nice update, but can we get it standing please? I love Smock. All my homies love Smock. It's alright. I like some of the up-to-date stuff in this model, but it could have been done way better. Now this is a pretty sweet update. It's a decent improvement, but the Styracosaurus is still better. I did it! I covered every single CollectA figure in one video. If you've made it to this point in the video, comment down Smock on D's nuts in the comment section below. This video was definitely a bit more ambitious than the first one I did on this topic over 3 years ago, and likely I will be remaking some of the other older episodes as well. If you want me to remake a particular episode, then just comment it down in the comments section below, and do the same if you want me to cover a new company that hasn't been discussed yet in this series. Either way, I will see you guys next time.